with all the transfer portal madness, with the Buckeye season coming to an end, we keep hearing more and more and more about the Ohio State Buckeyes, and yet one topic really hasn't been talked about much since it was obvious that a change has to be made because the position is open right now for Ohio State. That is the offensive coordinator job. We're going to dive into a name we have heard multiple times outside Columbus and what we are hearing inside Columbus right now for Ohio State. Before we get to our topics today, the battle and rage between these channels goes on. Ohio State, our channel, trying to move up. You can see we're in a pretty good spot. We want to get above the Alabama football report. Of course, we want to eventually beat Michigan, and we got our new channels on our tail. If you are not subscribed, hit that sub button and help us move forward a little bit, kind of into that upper range right now as far as our college football channels. It's a sub battle, but it's also like, hey, support Ohio State, show them who's boss. Brian Daboll is the name we hear over and over again outside Columbus. And we'll get to inside Columbus later in the video. Yes, the former Giants head coach, time and time again, when I'm hearing Ohio State, and it is limited, to be honest with you, about the offensive coordinator conversation right now. It's a lot about the portal and a lot about losing to Miami, and mainly about the portal. But Brian Daboll's name has come up over and over again from different media outlets, different coverage of Ohio State football. The first kind of notion of Brian Daboll, Bill Landis, who's been a beat reporter for Ohio State, many different outlets, and right now has a Substack covering them, so you can look up Bill Landis and find his page. He listed all the Ohio State names being discussed for that offensive coordinator position for the Buckeyes. Daboll was the first one he listed that is not in-house, right? And again, we will get to the in-house candidates. Here's what Landis had to say about Brian Daboll and his fit with the Buckeyes. Daboll has primarily been an NFL coach, including 2 stints with the Patriots, where he worked on the same staff as current Ohio State defensive coordinator Matt Patricia, but he did call plays at Alabama in 2017. A lot of people forget this, helping the Crimson Tide win a national title under Nick Saban. The idea here is that Day needs to find his offensive version of Patricia, a well-established offensive mind who can run that side of the ball and leave Day to be the CEO of the program. Keep that one in mind. We'll talk about that more. Daboll at age 50 fits that mold, but there's also a strong chance he options to stay in the NFL. Straight up, asking you before we really get into it in this one, should Ohio State hire Brian Daboll to be their next offensive coordinator? If it were up to you, what would you say about hiring Brian Daboll to be the next OC? As Bill Landis said, maybe he could be the Matt Patricia of the offense. More on Daboll. His name mentioned by Josh Poloha of 11 Warriors. Shout out Medina High School. My dream for offensive coordinator is Brian Daboll. Ryan Day wants to be the CEO. We hear that once again, of Ohio State football, not the offensive coordinator like he was against Miami. I don't think he wants an up-and-coming flashy hire, basically Brian Hartline Part 2. He wants an experienced guy. Look, don't sleep on Brian Daboll. I understand a recently fired NFL head coach of a bad Giants team isn't the most enticing thing here, right? I get that. I really do. First off, one coach of the year in the NFL. I think that should be noted. He turned the Giants around pretty quickly. Responsible for major success for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Overall, I think Brian Daboll's a great option. I love that he was at Alabama for a year, was good at Alabama, and then moved on. That's basically what Matt Patricia's doing. You hope Matt Patricia doesn't move on, but plug and play, right? You don't want a guy that needs to get acclimated to college football. You also keep hearing about the Ryan Day CEO role. Well, that goes along with Daboll not wanting to maybe recruit or not want to get too much into college football. Instead, Ryan Day could do those things and just leave play calling and offensive setup to Brian Daboll. And again, if you're still on the fence where it's like, the guy that won a couple of games with the Giants and got fired, Daboll's got experience, man. He's been all over, specifically the NFL. I kind of was laughing to myself earlier today. Just this great NFL stint at multiple positions, multiple teams, multiple years, multiple levels of success. Break at Alabama, national title, back to the NFL. Don't sleep on Brian Daboll. This is a fully qualified offensive coordinator for Ohio State. I like what Bill Landis said. It would be great to have an offensive version of Matt Patricia at Ohio State. Again, you can drop down in the comments and give your yes or no if Ohio State should hire Brian Daboll. We will get to the in-house candidates in just a second for Ohio State football. Do want to let you know this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. It's all about whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time. Trying something new can be hard, but in life and on PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and PrizePicks lets you take control. It's simple to play. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. That's right. You just pick the 2 projections here like we have in our 2-pick power play here. Pick a player, more on a certain passing yard, rushing yard, whatever it is. More again, we went for Jordan Love. We want a quarterback battle here between Chicago and Green Bay, so we went more and more. We get those right, we could cash in, just like it says on PrizePicks. Also, right now, new feature alert, good thing to try out right when you get in, early payouts. So if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Also, I mean, this is it, guys. If fantasy season's done for you, which it basically is, this is the time. Keep fantasy going, right? Keep fantasy going. Make those picks just like fantasy. You want your guys to do well in your projection. Then they do. You cash in. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Little bit of Daboll talk to start the show. Let's finish the show talking about the other names being discussed for the Ohio State offensive coordinator job. These are in-house names, right? It actually seems like, and again, Bill Landis had a list of like 30 names. These guys were at the top, in-house names. People, similar how they did with Brian Hartline. Ryan Day wants to bring them up, and make them offensive coordinator. Now, first things first. There is still a world where Ryan Day just keeps calling plays next season. That's exactly what it is. That's how it could be for Ohio State next year. Now, I know what you're thinking. He was terrible against Miami. Oh, he stinks at calling plays. Ryan Day has a great experience of calling plays as a head coach. You do have to question it. I understand that because, I sat on this show and told you guys, Ryan Day can call plays. Don't worry. This is good. He's taking over. And then the Buckeyes came out unprepared, not ready to go. And I didn't love the play calling overall against Miami either. So, yes, it is in the air. Can Ryan Day still call plays? Is he better as a play caller or a CEO coach? I will point to the fact that from 2019 to 2023, the Buckeyes were a top-notch offense under play caller head coach Ryan Day. So we got to keep an eye on Day just saying, hey, I'm going to call plays next year and so-and-so's is going to be up in the booth and help a little bit. Basically similar to what he did with Brian Hartline and Keenan Bailey and some others late in that playoff run. Checking in with you guys on it. I asked you, let's double check here. How confident are you in Ryan Day's ability to call plays for Ohio State as the head coach if he were to do it next season? Scale it for me. 1, I'm not confident at all. Make sure he gives the play calling sheet up. Or 10, hey, Ryan Day had great offenses from 2019 to 2023. He can do it again. Scale it for me 1 to 10. A name you may have heard over and over and over, Keenan Bailey, the current tight ends coach. He's also given the title of co-offensive coordinator this season. He is fully involved with the Ohio State offense. He has been for multiple years. He, similar to Brian Hartline, is a rising star within Ohio State's organization, right? For about 2 or 3 years, we could tell that Brian Hartline was a rising star. Keenan Bailey is on that uptick right now. At just 30 years old, he has coached every offensive position for Ohio State. He has also been there technically longer than Ryan Day, going back to 2016. So he's on that Brian Hartline trajectory of next up is play calling, then leaving, in a way. Bill Landis on Keenan Bailey, some notes about him there. If Day goes the Hartline route, he's most likely going to do it with Bailey, the longest tenured offensive assistant on the staff. More about Bailey from Landis. He's been a consistent riser in the organization, landing a co-offensive coordinator title ahead of the 2025 season, and he could rise again. So Keenan Bailey, I've listed him as a top 5 option overall, and that was when there were a lot of options at offensive coordinator. So I think Keenan Bailey is up there for Ohio State. Look, 2 other names that the Buckeyes, it's floating around, they're going around. I don't think they have as good a shot. Another 30-year-old, another young guy, Billy Fessler. He was an offensive coordinator at one point for Akron. And Tyler Bowen. I don't know how the offensive line coach right now is for Ohio State's up for any sort of job. Failed the Buckeyes completely in the final 2 games. And I don't think I've heard of many offensive line and offensive coordinators or play callers, or I don't know. That seems messy to me. I did want to include those names. Landis included those names. I've heard them multiple times from different sources. So those are your in-house candidates. Day stays play calling. Wolves to the future with Keenan Bailey, or if he really likes what Billy Fessler and Tyler Bowen bring to the table, it would be wild, but he may go with one of those guys. No matter what happens, I know a lot of you still, you're salty about the loss, but if you believe in Ryan Day, you trust Ryan Day to hire the right guy, show me, hit that thumbs up video on the button, or hit that thumbs up button on the video, and hopefully Day does come through and hires the right guy.